Ultimate Paracord Survival Bracelet.
Last year I made a quick release paracord bracelet just like this. And I've had a couple complaints lately that it's just really hard to follow what I'm doing on the video, so this is going to be my attempt at remaking one of these to hopefully get better shots and show you exactly what I'm doing to make it easier for you. You can see in the original video, which I'll put a link to right there or right there, that there's a big difference between this quick release version, which is just a matter of unhooking these two little nubs right there and then giving it a yank, and then you get 10 feet of paracord at your ready in a survival situation. And the store-bought versions, which you have to unravel by hand each little thing, which takes several minutes. So just let me show you real quick what you need to do to unravel this and how quick and easy it is. First thing I would do is just see this little knot right here? You just pull that out like that. And then those two nubbies, just grab my survival knife and just pop those out. Like that. Like that. Okay. Now you just give it a yank. And look at that. Obviously a much quicker access to about 10 feet of paracord than having to unravel every little bit. And you still have this piece right here, which is about 10 inches, 12 inches of paracord. So without further ado, let's get to making this, and hopefully it will be more clear as to what I am doing and how to make it.
The first thing I do is cut about a 24-inch piece of paracord. This is essentially the skeleton of the bracelet. And I melt the ends to prevent them from fraying. And then I find the center of this 24-inch piece and thread the center through one of the buckles. And then I thread the ends of that through the loop. And here's a close-up of me doing the same thing. I'm threading the center loop through the buckle and the ends of that through that loop. Now as you can see, the paracord doesn't completely fill up that buckle, and this step is completely optional, but I like to take the ends and loop them through the buckle and the loop one more time just to give it a cleaner look. I think that looks much better. Now I measure out just over 10 feet of paracord. Then I cut and melt the ends to prevent fraying. Now, if the other piece is the skeleton, then this is the body. So I find the center of the body, thread that through the other buckle, and then thread the ends of the body through that loop. And again, here's a close-up of me doing the exact same thing. I am threading the center of the body through the buckle, and then the ends of that body through that loop. Just like on the other buckle, the body does not completely fill the buckle. However, the difference is that we will not be looping the ends of the body back through the buckle. Instead, we're going to use the ends of the skeleton to fill up the difference. And you'll see what I mean in a moment. Here I'm just laying out the two sides, and I'm trying to get an idea of what size I want this to go around my wrist. This is where I start to thread the ends of the skeleton through the body side of the buckle. And here's a more detailed close-up version of me doing that. Here's a couple things I need to point out. The skeleton ends need to go through the loop of the body and then through the buckle. It's also important that the skeleton ends are on the outside of the body ends. And this will become more clear as we actually go through the weaving process. And here I'm just laying out everything before I actually start the weaving process. So as I said, the skeleton ends need to go outside of the body ends. The body ends are the longer pieces. And I'm spreading the body ends out here. And here's a close-up of the beginning process. The first thing I do is I take the top body end and put it underneath the top skeleton end. And this is the starting position. Okay, so to start this off, you take the very end of the top body end and thread it over the top skeleton end, the top body end, the bottom body end, and then under the bottom skeleton end. And it should look something like this. Now, the bottom body end is already over the bottom skeleton end. So it needs to go under the bottom skeleton end, under itself, under the top body end, and then over the top skeleton end. Pull everything tight and you should have something that resembles this. Okay, so the part of the body that is facing down is currently under the bottom skeleton end. So it needs to go over the bottom skeleton end, over the two body ends, and then under the top skeleton end, just like this. And we take the other body end that is over the top skeleton end, bring it down under that skeleton end, under the two body ends, and then over the bottom skeleton end. And then tighten everything back up, and we're going to do it all over again. And here's a different view. That body end is over the bottom skeleton end, so it needs to go under it and under the two body ends, and then over the top skeleton end. The top one was under, so it needed to go over and then under. So basically you keep doing the opposite. If it is over the skeleton end, it needs to go under the skeleton end, under the body ends, and then over the skeleton end. Over the skeleton end, over the body ends, and then under the skeleton end. And then back to a close-up. I was over the skeleton end, so I went under it, under the body ends, and over the skeleton. Over the skeleton, over the body, under the skeleton. And then you tighten. And if you're under the skeleton, you go over the skeleton, over the bodies, and under the skeleton. If you're over the skeleton, you go under the skeleton, under the bodies, and over the skeleton. And then you tighten. And again, a little bit of a different shot. If you're under the skeleton, you go over the skeleton, over the bodies, and then under the skeleton. If you're over the skeleton, you go under the skeleton, under the bodies, and then over the skeleton, and tighten. And we'll do one more close-up. So if you're under the skeleton, you go over the skeleton, over the bodies, and then under the skeleton. If you're over the skeleton, you go under the skeleton, under the bodies, and then over the skeleton. And tighten. Once you've gotten pretty much to the end, it's time to finish it off. And this is where things get a little bit different. It's going to be all according to how you're ending, but for this example, I am taking the top part, going over the skeleton, over the bodies, and then under the skeleton, just like normal. But then the bottom piece, I'm actually going to go under everything. The skeleton, the bodies, and the skeleton. Then loop them around and just make a basic knot. I'm going to cut these pieces off and melt them, and they should be pretty much tight enough to just stay there until you take them out on purpose. I take the ends, hold them pretty tight with some needle nose pliers, cut them, and then melt them to prevent them from fraying. And then I do the same for the skeleton ends that are poking through the buckle. And then you're done. It's ready to wear.
Well, I hope you found this version of the video to be a little bit easier to follow. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I really also appreciate it if you hit the like and subscribe buttons, and if you're feeling extra generous, check me out on Patreon. All the links to that and more are in the description of this video, as well as someplace on the screen. Thanks again for watching. I will see you next time with my next project video. Have a great week. Bye.